All right, so this is pretty much live. I'm probably about 2 minutes behind right now. I've got it paused. It's Kayleigh McEnany. She needs no introduction. You know who she is, you know what she does. So let's watch and hear what she's going to say tonight.
I'm Kayleigh McEnany. You may know me as a supporter of President Trump, but tonight, I'm here to share with you how he supported me, both as a new mom and as an American with a pre-existing condition. When I was 21 years old, I got a call that changed my life. It was my doctor informing me that I had tested positive for the BRCA2 genetic mutation, a mutation that put my chances of breast cancer at 84%. It was the same mutation that my mom had, compelling her to get a preventative double mastectomy, removing her breast tissue, but protecting her from a disease that has taken far too many of our mothers, our sisters, our friends. In my family, 8 women alone were diagnosed with breast cancer, several in their young 20s. I now faced the same prospect. For nearly a decade, I was routinely at Moffitt Cancer Center, getting MRIs, ultrasounds, and necessary surveillance. During these visits, I crossed paths with brave women battling cancer and fighting through chemotherapy. They were a testament to American strength. They are American heroes. On May 1st, 2018, I followed in my mother's footsteps, choosing to get a preventative mastectomy. I was scared. The night before, I fought back tears as I prepared to lose a piece of myself forever. But the next day, with my mom, dad, husband, and Jesus Christ by my side, I underwent a mastectomy, almost eliminating my chance of breast cancer, a decision I now celebrate. Breast reconstruction has advanced remarkably. While it is an individual's decision, my doctor and I chose a course of surgery that left me virtually unchanged. But more important than physical results, I developed a strength and a confidence that I carry with me. During one of my most difficult times, I expected to have the support of my family, but I had more support than I knew. As I came out of anesthesia, one of the first calls I received was from Ivanka Trump. As I recovered, my phone rang again. It was President Trump calling to check on me. I was blown away. Here was the leader of the free world caring about my circumstance. At the time, I had only met President Trump on a few occasions. But now, I know him well, and I can tell you that this president stands by Americans with pre-existing conditions. In fact, President Trump called me this morning. I spoke with him several times today, and he told me how proud he was of me for sharing this story. The same way President Trump has supported me, he supports you. I see it every day. I've heard him say the hardest part of his job is writing to loved ones of fallen soldiers. I've seen him offer heartfelt outreach to grieving parents who lost their children to crime in the streets. And I've watched him fight for Americans who lost their jobs. President Trump fights for the American people because he cares about stories like these. I have a 9-month-old daughter. She's a beautiful, sweet little girl. And I choose to work for this president for her. When I look into my baby's eyes, I see a new life, a miracle for which I have a solemn responsibility to protect. That means protecting America's future, a future President Trump will fight for, where our neighborhoods are protected, where life is sacred, where God is cherished, not taken out of our schools, removed from our pledge, and erased from our history. I want my daughter to grow up in President Donald J. Trump's America. Choosing to have a preventative mastectomy was the hardest decision I ever had to make. But supporting President Trump, who will protect my daughter and our children's future, was the easiest.
All right. So I expected it to be a little longer. It was a little shorter than I thought it would be, and I'll start with the only negative thing that I saw with it was the delivery of the line about wanting her daughter to grow up in Donald J. Trump's America. I think she said President Donald J. Trump's America. I don't think that line is going to win the middle at all. I don't think there's any way of winning the middle with that line. It is is so on the nose. I don't think she could do it. But she crushed it, and I'll tell you why. She is known for her press, we call them beatings, press beatings, her press briefings, where she comes equipped with the thickest notebook you could ever imagine someone having for this job. She is prepared to do this job more than I think anyone else in the history of the role, as far as I've seen. I haven't been following politics too long. She's far and away the best that Trump's ever had. And the couple that I remember from Obama, I mean, the press, barely even cared what he did anyway, unless it looked good to them. So they don't even matter. But in terms of the optics and the preparedness and the delivery and the absolute ability to just make the press look like the fools they are, she's far and away the best. And she is what you could call a pistol. So I excitedly started recording this video because I expected fireworks. I thought she was going to crush, But once again, the RNC is doing the surprising thing, which is to be positive. And I'm starting to get it. I'm getting it a lot because, especially with that, okay, let's break down what her speech is. She's talking about having a double mastectomy. It's a very big change for a woman to go through. I can't even imagine. She's telling the story from a mother's perspective, from a woman's perspective, and she's giving you the heartfelt story of this man who she didn't even really know, giving her a call. And, he was the president of the United States at the time. She's saying he does care. He does care about women. He does care about mothers. He does care about Americans with pre-existing conditions. She's ticking all the boxes, right? I don't doubt that her story's true. I could definitely see that. I could see that he called her, totally being a real thing, and maybe that's why she ended up being his press secretary. I know she was like favorable to him. Apparently, I think she was like a Ted Cruz fan originally, or someone that wasn't Trump. But she turned to his side. She had that awesome freaking delivery to that woman on CNN where she said, "Oh, you said he has a mental illness. Well, that explains why he supports Hillary Clinton." It was a good zinger. That was what I knew her for previously, and then she ends up being his press secretary. Anyway, I totally believe the story. I think he did call her, and I think it happened, and I think that, of course, she's going to use that to tell her story. But the overarching thing here is Trump is vulnerable with, white suburban women, and he has been for a long time, and it's mostly because of what he says. A bit of what he does, but mostly what he says, and that's even with Republican white suburban women. Like, he rubs them the wrong way too. So it's not just like dyed-in-the-wool Democrats. Women just tend to not like him, especially as a politician. So Kayleigh McEnany, at on the flip side, is like this, beautiful, like, Barbie doll type woman who is extremely freaking sharp. Like, she is so smart and quick, and like, she can dive on something right away and either crush it or make it look as best as possible. She is excellent at her job. So he gets this woman with this, you know, heart-wrenching story about her family history with this particular disease and having to go through it, and she is trying to draw in the white suburban woman vote, or just suburban women vote in general, not necessarily white. And it's smart. It's smart politics, and you know that she's capable of destroying the press, destroying the Democrats. That's what I expected her to do, and she didn't do that. Once again, they went high. So I understand what this RNC is going to be. Now, I think Donald Trump is still going to get his barbs in because he does not hold back. But this is sticking to what I thought on like the first night of watching this, or the second night of watching this, is that they're going for the positive approach. Uh, Probably still about 70-30. Her entire speech was positive. That was like, there was nothing in there. There was nothing about complaining about the press, nothing complaining about Nancy Pelosi, none of it. She was on point, positive message. It's going to work out really well for him because it's a true story. I have no doubt about it. He calls people. He's famous for making phone calls. It's what the guy does. And she liked him and went to bat for him on TV. So I'm sure she was on his radar. So it makes perfect sense that he called her when he heard about this. So true story, perfectly ties into what he needs to do politically, perfectly ties into what the RNC is trying to do to continue to sell themselves as the party of the normal person, and at this point the liberal person. They are scooping up the liberals left and right, and that they're going to continue to do that. So not at all what I expected from Kayleigh, but awesome and a very good job, and I like what they're doing. So until next time. I might come back with Mike Pence tonight. I think Kellyanne Conway is doing one. That might be fun. So we'll see how that goes too. All right. Until next time.